Alright guys, so in this video we're checking out the Mobula6 HD, and you got here's the drone here, and then in the package you're going to get 4 of these 250 milliamp hour 1S lipos. They didn't go with the 300s for saving weight, and you get a USB charger. Pretty typical. Very similar looking to the Mobula6, but obviously this is HD, so it's got the RunCam 3 Lite as the HD camera here, with this plastic looks like an M12 lens. I'm not 100% sure what size it is, but it looks like an M12 lens. Kind of looks like, reminds me of the old Turtle V2 lens before they went to the glass lens. The flight controller on here is the same Crazy Bee F4 Lite that's on the Mobula6, so it's got the built-in video transmitter and receiver. This is the FreeSky version. And we have the 19,000 kV 0802 motors here, but this is a updated motor here. So you see the bell is curved now and not flat on the top. Not sure if there's that much difference in the power of the motor. It's pretty similar. It seems to me about the same, but maybe they have a curved bell in there. I think it maybe shaved a little bit of weight off. And I think that's how they got this weight down to something reasonable to carry an HD camera. So let me just get right here and show you what this weighs. So this is drone itself with no battery, 27.8 grams, and then with the 251S, we're coming in at 34.6 grams. And just for comparison, here is the Beta 65X HD, which is 2S. Not 1S, so that's 2 batteries on here. 30 grams, it's already heavier. And with the two 1S 300s, now we're coming in at 46.5 grams total flying weight. So you can see 46.5 grams versus 34.6 grams. It's almost like 12 grams difference. It makes a difference in terms of the flight characteristics and the handling. So let's get right into the comparison and the difference here and 1S versus 2S. So this is going to be difficult to explain if you have not flown a lot of whoops in the past, but basically every gram, every tenth of a gram is going to make a difference in terms of how it feels in flight. And depending upon where you fly and how you fly, you may prefer the 2S and the heavier 65X, or you may prefer the lighter 1S Mobula6 HD. I don't know, this is very subjective. I don't know what you're going to particularly like. I think I'm going to like the lighter 1S here, even though the flight time is much shorter on this. It's overall lighter because it's got smaller batteries, so you got a much shorter flight time, but you just kind of have a little bit more control of this because you're still dealing with a 31mm propeller here. And I actually prefer having a little bit more control. It's a little bit more agile feeling for the 1S here because it's lighter. Now on the 65X you're going to get a little bit more flight time. I would say about a minute more flight time because you're basically running 2 1S batteries and bigger, but overall it's a lot heavier. And if you're not doing a lot of like really fast flying, if you're just kind of doing like Cinewhoop type flying, kind of docile and slow, just want to just kind of soak in the scenery, this is going to be fine for that because you're not going to really notice the weight difference as much, but you're going to get a longer flight time. So if that's more important to you, if you want a longer flight time and you're not so concerned about it being an acro monster, then the 65X on 2S is going to be totally fine. It's just that it's heavier. So that 12 grams makes a difference when you bump into things. It might scratch things like your TV, for example. Maybe a little less here with the 1S and coming in at about 28 grams. Although, you never know. You can still scratch things up with these little plastic ducks. So again, I'm not exactly sure what your preferences are going to be, but, I just want to sort of give you an outline as to, what the differences between each are kind of generally, and then maybe you can sort of decide for yourself what you think you're going to want. Now, yes, this is going to be lighter. It's 1S. It's going to be a little bit more agile, but it's not anywhere near as agile as the original Mobula6 without the HD camera because of the huge weight difference. If you go from wherever this is to down to the weight of the Mobula6 without the HD camera plus the higher kV motors, the 25,000 kV motors, there's a huge difference. I mean, obviously, if you don't care about the HD, my recommendation is get the Mobula6 with the 25,000 kV motors. That's actually my favorite 1S tinywhoop of like pretty much of all time. But this will not perform anywhere near that because of all the extra weight that this is carrying. Yeah, you are going to be able to do some mild acro out there. It's not going to handle the wind very well at all. It's going to shake and get pushed around by the wind if you're flying in windy conditions outdoors. Recommend flying this indoors, but you're going to get some pretty decent footage. Now, regarding the footage and comparing it to the Caddx camera that's on here, they're both 1080p cameras, both 60 frames per second. The FPV feed is going to be very subjective. I think a lot of people aren't going to like the FPV feed on either one of these cameras, although with each subsequent generation of these split cameras, they've gotten better and better. So of this generation with the Runcam and the Caddx, they're both, I think, at their peak. They've sort of progressed, and now they're pretty decent. Although I think still people are going to hate it anyway. The image you're going to get out of here is slightly different, and obviously you can change your settings in here in terms of sharpness and contrast and saturation, all that. So I'm just going to talk about the base settings from the factory. The image that comes out of the Caddx is a little bit more saturated. It's got a wider field of view, but it's a little bit more fisheyed. The one out of the Runcam is a much narrower field of view, and it's more it's not as saturated. The colors, they don't look as they don't look as natural to me. But you know, it's again, it's subjective. The image is still pretty good. They're both pretty good in my opinion for 1080p 60. And you know, you have to realize what you're getting here out of basically like an under 10 gram HD camera. So, you know, yeah, you kind of have to understand, sort of realize what your expectations are and what you're getting for the kind of weight you're dealing with here. Anyway, so the reason I haven't put this video out, I've had this for a while, but I got a few flights in, I think maybe about 5 or 6 flights, something like that, and the 5-volt regulator on the Crazy Bee light burned out on me. Now, actually, on the other Crazy Bee lights that I've had on the Mobula6, never had any problems with that. It was always working fine. In fact, I even put that board on the, I think it was the 1S baby tooth 3-inch toothpick, and that was totally fine too. So I'm thinking that this Runcam camera, the HD camera one, you know, while it's recording, is drawing so much current, probably put too much stress on the 5-volt regulator on the Crazy Bee light board and caused it to burn out. So that one doesn't work. So they sent me a new board. That's why this video is very late. But it just, you know, full disclosure, it's not the Crazy Bee light. It's actually the next generation of the Crazy Bee light, which I can't really tell you what it's called or any other information about it, but it's very similar to it. So do you take the footage that you're seeing here with a grain of salt, because it is not from a complete Mobula6 HD. I just want to let you guys know that is the flight control in here is a little bit different. It's the next generation of the Crazy Bee light board, so it's got the same specs in terms of the video transmitter and built-in receiver and all that. It looks really, really similar, but I'm going to talk about that in a future video. But I just wanted you guys to know, because you'll find out later that this was flying with not the factory stock flight controller, but a upgrade. So keep that in mind. Honestly, I don't think it makes that much difference in terms of the flight characteristics or how this performs with the weight or anything like that. But just want to make sure that that information is out there so you don't feel like you're being deceived and showing a product that's not actually coming from the factory. Anyway, so here's a whole bunch of flight footage, and I'll link maybe a few more extra flights down in the description, maybe as a separate video file. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this. You know, overall, I like it. You know, but you have to kind of understand its limitations and what it can and can't do. But I think it's gonna, you know, these kind of products here, these really tiny drones with HD cameras are kind of amazing in my opinion, that you can get this kind of video and performance out of something so tiny and light. Anyway, here's the flight footage, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.